What we're going to be building in today's video is an ERC-721 staking app. And this app is going to allow a user to stake an ERC-721 NFT and earn ERC-20 tokens as a reward. So right here, this is our login screen, and I'm going to just hit connect a wallet here. I'm going to select my MetaMask wallet. And this is the application here that we're going to be building. So you can see at the top here, I have my wallet information. I can disconnect, reconnect my wallet if I wanted to. And we have a few different parts to our application here. First is our claim NFT. So in order to use our ERC 721 staking app, they need a NFT to be staked. So we're going to give them an option here to claim an NFT. So we'll claim an extra NFT, even though I already have one. This will bring up a transaction. We'll confirm. They can claim an NFT. So once this NFT is claimed here, there we go, NFT is claimed. We'll see a new NFT in our owned NFTs here. You can see I have now a friend 7. So I have 2 NFTs here, and I can stake these NFTs. So let's just stake friend 2 here. I already have one friend staked. Let's just stake another one. So let's just hit stake. You can see you are about to stake this NFT here. I need to approve and give approval to stake this NFT first. So we say yes, stake the NFT, or approve to stake it. Once it's approved, we can then stake the NFT. So confirm that. There we go, it is staked. You can see now it goes into our staked, our updated, our owned NFTs updates, and now we only have our friend number 7. So now I have 2 NFTs staked here. They each have withdrawal buttons here. Below that, you can see this is my balance here for my reward token. Currently, my wallet only holds 35.8. But if I look at my stake rewards, you can see my rewards here are updating. So let's see, 440 now, 0.6. You can see it's increasing because we have these NFTs staked. So if I want to claim my rewards here, I can just claim my rewards, pay for the gas and execute that. It's going to claim the rewards, which should set this back to 0 here. You can see it's starting back off, and my balance is now 479.6. Over here with the staked NFTs, we can withdraw our NFT. So let's just say we want to withdraw this NFT here. We no longer want to have it staked. We can hit confirm. That's going to remove it out of our staked NFTs, and it's going to add it back into our owned NFTs here. So you can see I now have my 2 NFTs here, and I can stake these, withdraw, claim my rewards, and that is going to be the ERC-721 staking app that we're going to build within this tutorial. Hey everyone, Sean Watasa here, back with another tutorial video, and in today's video we're going to be building our very own ERC-721 staking application. Just like the demo that you just watched, we're going to build out a Web3 app that allows a user to stake an ERC-721 NFT and earn ERC-20 tokens as a reward. An overview of what we're going to cover in this video: we're first going to deploy all of the smart contracts needed for this project. This includes an ERC-721 NFT, an ERC-20 token, that's going to be our reward token, and then an ERC-721 staking contract. Once we have our contracts deployed, we'll jump in and build out our project using Thirdweb's Connect SDK. So with that being said, let's jump on the computer here and let's get started. All right, on my computer here, I am on Thirdweb's dashboard. So you just need to go to Thirdweb's website, connect your wallet. In the dashboard here, I'm going to head to the contracts tab. And what we're going to do first is deploy all of the contracts we need to build out this staking application. So I'm going to come to the top right here where it says deploy contract. And the first contract we're going to deploy is an NFT ERC-721 smart contract. Now I'm going to deploy this NFT drop contract. This is going to be a claimable ERC-721, so we can add that little claim function to claim an NFT within our app. So I'm going to select the NFT drop here. I'm going to select the deploy now in the top right. We'll name this contract here. So I'll just call this our staking NFT, and we'll just give it a symbol. I'll just say SNFT. You can add a description, image, whatever you want to fill out here for your contract parameters. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom here, and you're going to see network and chains. And within this drop down, you can select any network or chain to deploy your contract to. Now we support any EVM compatible blockchain. You can search mainnets, testnets. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using the base Sepolia testnet. And once we have our network selected, I'm going to select deploy now. We'll get a transaction here that appears. This is to deploy our contract. We'll confirm that. Next, we'll get a signature request, and this is to add this contract to our Thirdweb dashboard. So I'm going to sign here. And once it adds to our dashboard, we should be brought to our contract dashboard. and we're gonna set up our ERC 721 contract. So there you go, successfully deployed. This is now our staking NFT contract. If you need to follow this checklist here, you can follow the checklist. You can see the next thing we need to do is upload our NFTs. So coming to the side tabs here, I'm going to come to NFTs, and we need to lazy mint our NFTs and provide the smart contract with the metadata of the NFTs. Now you can do a single upload. You can fill out the name, image, description, and traits and everything, and you can do that individually for each NFT that's part of your contract, or you can do a batch upload. And if you have a JSON or CSV file of the metadata of your NFTs, you can upload that right over here. Now I have some JSON files here for my metadata, so I'm just going to drag some of them here, and you can see once you drag them in, you'll see the information and metadata of all the NFTs that you just imported. So I'm going to hit next, and we'll just say reveal upon the mint. You can do a delayed reveal if you want to, and we're going to upload those NFTs. Going to confirm the transaction here, and once that's done, we'll be brought back to our dashboard, and you can see that we have all those NFTs that are now uploaded here. So we have our NFTs and metadata lazy minted to our smart contract, but again, we want to make these NFTs claimable. Right now they're not claimed by anyone. You can see the owners are blank addresses here. So what we can do is on the left hand navigation, we can set claim conditions. Now there are different claim conditions that you can set. If you hover over, you can see the information about what each claim condition is. For this tutorial, just to make things easy and simple, we're going to select a public claim condition here. We're going to set and keep everything as the default here. So we're not limiting the NFTs that can be claimed. We're not charging for them. But if you are setting this up and you do want to set a limit or you do want to charge, you can fill those out right there. But I'm going to leave everything as a default, and I'm going to hit save phase. We're going to confirm that transaction. And once that's saved, we have our ERC 721 smart contract complete. Now we just need to deploy our ERC 20 smart contract and our staking contract. So next we'll deploy our ERC 20 contract. So I'm going to open up a new tab here, go back to our contracts, and I'm going to come to deploy contract again. And this time we're going to deploy a token contract, and the token contract is our ERC 20 contract here. So I'm going to hit deploy now in the top right, and we're going to name this our reward token, and we'll just give it a symbol here called reward. And again, you can add your image, description, fill out these contract parameters to your liking. Down at the networker chain, we're going to make sure that we deploy this to the same chain that we deployed our other contract to. And then I'm going to hit deploy now. Then we'll confirm that transaction to deploy our contract. And again, we'll sign this signature request to add it to our dashboard. Once that contract's been deployed, you'll be brought to your reward token smart contract. And all we need to do for this contract is mint some tokens that we want to reward out to our users that stake their NFT. So coming over here to the tokens tab on the left-hand side, you can see right now we don't own any supply of tokens, and there's none that is minted. But we have the mint button here. So we're going to mint, and we're just going to mint some tokens. And for this tutorial, I'm just going to mint 1 million tokens here. But you can mint whatever amount you need to mint in order to, again, supply the reward tokens in your staking contract. So I'm just going to mint 1 million tokens here and confirm that transaction. And there you go. So if you look here, our total supply is 1 million reward tokens. And the wallet that I have connected owns all 1 million of those reward tokens. So right now, this wallet holds all the reward tokens, but once we deploy our staking contract, we're actually going to deposit these tokens into the contract so that the contract can then distribute the tokens out depending on the rewards that need to be claimed by people who have their NFT staked. So this does it here for now for our reward token contract. Now I'm going to open up another tab again. We're going to deploy one last contract, and we're going to come back to deploy contract here. And for our final contract, we're going to deploy the ERC 721 staking contract. So scrolling down here, we have a staking section, and we have our different staking contracts here. We're going to select our ERC 721 staking application, and this contract allows a user to stake their ERC 721 NFT and in return get an ERC 20 token. So we're going to hit deploy now, and we're going to name this contract here. We're going to call this our staking contract. And we can give it a symbol here. Again, you can fill out the image and description if you want to. There are a few more parameters here that we need to fill out for the staking contract. The first one here is going to be our reward token address. So this is for our ERC20 token. So coming back to our reward token here, I'm going to copy the contract address, come back to our staking contract, paste that in. The next one is the ERC721 token address. So this is going to be the token address for our NFT. So coming here, I'm going to get our staking NFT, copy that address, come here, paste that in. Next is the time unit for rewards. Now this is in seconds. So this time unit rewards and rewards per time unit go hand in hand. So let's just say every 60 seconds, I want to reward 10 tokens. So that's how you determine here what your time is. So let's just say here, maybe you want to do 1 hour, which would be, not 3,600 seconds, right? In 1 hour, I want to distribute 1 token. Right, so you can use the time units and reward per unit time here to figure out how you want to distribute the tokens. Now for this tutorial sake, we're going to do this really quick. So we're just going to say every 10 seconds here, we're going to give a 1 token as a reward, just to see the number of reward tokens go up within the tutorial. Now for the rewards per unit time, this is going to be in Wei. So we can't put 1 in here because that's going to be a very, very small amount. But we can come to something like a Wei converter here, and we can put our value in Ether, and the Wei amount is this amount up here that we need to provide. So coming here, instead of 1, we're going to provide the Wei amount here, which is equivalent to 1. So in this case, every 10 seconds, we're going to reward 1 reward token. And then again, under the network and chain, we're going to make sure that we are deploying to the same network that we did our other contracts. So I'm going to hit deploy now. We're going to confirm this transaction to deploy our contract. We'll sign our signature request here. And there you go. We now have our staking contract deployed. So we deployed our staking contract. We still need to set it up and configure some of the things like deposit the tokens and give permission to the staking contract to distribute out the reward tokens when people claim their rewards. So to do that, we first need to give approval to this staking contract to be able to distribute out our reward tokens. So I'm going to copy the staking contract address here. I'm going to come back to our reward token, our ERC20 token, come to the Explore tab here on the left, and we're going to write and execute the approve function here for this token. So under the spender here, right, we're calling the approve function here. We are going to say that the spender is our staking contract, and we're going to approve them the value to spend the tokens that we deposit into it. Now, again, this value needs to be in Wei. So we're going to come back to our converter here, and we are going to allow the contract to do and distribute all 1 million tokens here. So again, we can put 1 million in Ether. We're going to copy the Wei value here, come back to our reward token, and paste that in the value. We're going to execute that function, and this is us setting approval to the staking contract to be able to distribute out these tokens. So we're going to say next and approve. And there you go. We now have set the approval. So before we go back to the staking contract, if we take a look at tokens, again, we have 1 million supply right here. And right now, all 1 million of those tokens is owned by my wallet that I have connected here. This is the wallet that has deployed this contract and minted the tokens, which is why I hold all 1 million here. Now I'm going to come over to the staking contract, and what we're going to do is deposit those tokens into the contract. So then again, the contract has the ability to distribute out the reward tokens. So coming to the Explorer tab here, under the write functions, we are going to look for the deposit reward token function. And all we're going to do is enter the amount. Again, amount is going to be in Wei. So we're going to take that same unit here of 1 million, convert it into Wei, and then we are going to execute that function. And again, this is going to deposit all of the tokens from our wallet into the staking contract. Confirm that transaction. There you go. That means we have executed our function successfully. Now, if I take this contract address here, come back to reward tokens. So if you look at reward tokens now, owned by me, I now don't own any of these ERC20 tokens. If we come back to Explorer and we go to the read function here and we go balance of, and we paste in our staking contract, you can see here our staking contract holds all 1 million of the tokens now. And that again is because the staking contract is the one that distributes out the tokens based on how much it's supposed to reward people based on the information that we provided it when we deployed the contract. So that does it for all the contracts that we need to build this application. We have our ERC 721 NFT contract. It's claimable. We're going to be able to claim it within our app. We have our ERC20 reward token, which is the token that gets distributed out as rewards. And then we have our staking contract, which is going to allow a user to stake and deposit their NFT into the contract. And based on the time that the NFT is within that contract, we can reward them out a certain amount of ERC20 tokens. So now that we have all of the contracts set, we deposited all of our ERC20 tokens and everything, we can now build out our front-end application for this ERC 721 staking app. So I'm going to come over to my terminal here, and I'm going to create a Next.js project. That is what we're going to build our app with here. So I'm going to run npx create next app, and we're going to call this project our ERC 721 staking app. And I'm going to say yes to TypeScript, no to ESLint, no to Tailwind, yes to source directory, yes to app router, and no to customizing the default import alias for our project. Once that is done, we're going to change into our project here. And let me just clear this real quick. So once we are in our file directory for our project, we're going to install ThirdWeb's Connect SDK. Now we support NPM, Yarn, PNPM, or Bun. So however you want to install the SDK into your project, you can do that. I am going to use Yarn, so I'm going to put in yarn add ThirdWeb here. And once that is done, we'll open this up in our code editor. And what we'll do first is set up and configure the Connect SDK to work with our Next.js project. So I'm going to open up the source folder, and within the app folder here, I'm going to create a new file, and we're going to call this file client.ts. And in here, we're going to create our ThirdWeb client that we can use throughout our application. And I'm going to first store our client ID here. So we're going to store this in our env file. So we'll say process.env.next public client ID. And we'll create our .env file here. So coming back to our files, I'm going to create a new file. Call this one .env. And we're going to create our next public client ID variable here. And we can get our client ID from our ThirdWeb API key. So coming to the settings tab on your ThirdWeb dashboard, you can create an API key right over here if you don't have one. If you want to learn a little bit more about API keys, we'll drop a link down in the description to a guide and tutorial video where we go more in depth about how to create API keys and how to enable certain services. But right here, I already have a API key and client ID I want to use, so I'm going to just copy that. Come back here and paste that into our .env file. So again, that is storing that in our client ID variable, and let's now create our client. So we're going to export our client variable here, and we're going to use the create ThirdWeb client, and we're going to import that from ThirdWeb. So make sure that's imported from ThirdWeb here, and we're going to provide that with our client ID here, which is going to be our client ID variable, which we want to make sure is as a string. And that does it for creating our client, which again, we're going to be able to use throughout our application here. The next thing we want to do is define the chain that we want our application to work with. So coming back to my file directory here, under the app folder, I'm going to create a new file within it. We're going to call this one chain.ts. And in our chain.ts file, we are going to export a new variable here called our chain. And we're going to use define chain from ThirdWeb. Now, in define chain, you can just provide it with the chain ID of the chain that you deployed your smart contracts to, or you can use and import a predefined chain if it's a popular chain that we support here. So in my case, we are using base Sepolia. So I'm going to put in base Sepolia here, and this is going to import from the ThirdWeb/chains. And we can just take base Sepolia here and put it right in here. But again, if you are using a different chain, you can just provide your chain ID right in here instead. And that does it for defining our chain. And again, we can use that chain variable throughout our application. Next, we need to wrap our app with the ThirdWeb provider. And this is going to enable us to use the ThirdWeb Connect SDK. But before we do that, I'm going to create a new file within the app folder again. This time it's going to be called thirdweb.ts. And what we're going to do in here is export our ThirdWeb provider. So we are going to export the ThirdWeb provider here. from thirdweb/React. But what we're going to do is, because we're using app router, we're going to tag this with use client here. And this way we can now use the third web provider and wrap our app with it while having it tagged with use client here. So coming to our file directory, we're going to come to the layout.tsx file, and I'm going to wrap our children right here with the third web provider. So right over here, we have third web provider. We're going to take this children out, paste that in. But what we're going to do here is at the top, we're going to make sure third web provider is being imported from our thirdweb.ts file. So we're going to go @/app/thirdweb, and that's going to make sure that we import it from this third web provider, which is tagged with the use client here. And that does it for setting up and configuring the Connect SDK with our Next.js project. So let's give our project a run here. I'm going to open up my terminal and run yarn dev. Run this locally here on my device, and this should just bring up the Next.js boilerplate code that you get when you create a new Next.js project. There you go. So everything looks to be loading fine here, and now we can start building out our application. So I'm going to come back to our code editor here and close that terminal. I'm going to come to my files, and I'm going to go to the page.tsx file. And this is the boilerplate code that we're just looking at. So I'm going to grab all of this here. I'm going to delete all the boilerplate code here, remove these imports. We don't need them right now. And we're going to create our project here. So I'm just going to enter some empty divs in here. And what we're going to first do is let's just add a title here. We'll call this our ERC 721 staking app. And we'll give this div some styling here. This is just some styling for displaying in flex direction, centering it, giving some margin and width to our application here. So if I save this and I come back to our app here, there we go. We see our app. It just has the title right here of ERC 721 staking app. Now, the first thing we need to add in our project or our application is a way for a user to connect their wallet. So if we look at our demo here and let's sign out, we have this kind of login modal right here where a user can sign in with many different things like our in-app wallet, like social logins, email or phone number, or they can select any Web3 wallet, or they can select from a wide range of over 350 plus Web3 wallets that we now support with our Connect modal here. So this is called our Connect embed, and that's what we're going to add in as kind of like our login screen. So I'm going to come back over here, and right under our title here, I'm going to add the Connect embed. Now with our Connect embed, we need to provide it our client, which we can provide it our client from our client.ts file. We can also provide it our chain here from our chain.ts file. And then with that, we come back here, and if we look at our app, actually, yeah, we should get an error. We need to make sure that we export this Connect embed from our thirdweb.ts file as well. This is so that it gets tagged with the use client here too. And up here, we're going to make sure that we import that from our thirdweb.ts file. So save that, and that should be good now. Now let's let this reload. And there you go. We should now see our title and our Connect embed, which is like this Connect modal right over here. So now that we have a way of connecting our wallet to our application, let's now be able to interact with the smart contracts that we deployed. So coming back to my code editor here, I'm going to create a new file. And we're going to, or new folder actually, we're going to call this utils. And in that utils folder, I'm going to create a new file. We're going to call this contracts.ts. And this is where we're going to store all of our contracts here. So we're going to store our 3 different contracts that we deployed, our NFT contract, our reward token contract, and our staking contract. So I'm going to store all the contract addresses in here. So I'm going to go grab them real quick. So we have our ERC 721 staking NFT. This is the NFT that we're staking. So that's going to be the NFT contract. We have our reward token contract, which is our ERC 20. And we have our staking contract, which is right over here. So there's my contract addresses. Next thing I'm going to do is we are going to get our contracts here and create a wrapper for them so that we can interact with them in our application here. So we're going to export, this one is going to be called our NFT contract. And we're going to use the get contract here from the Connect SDK. And what we need to do with get contract here is we need to provide it first with our client. So again, we can provide this with our client from our client.ts file. We need to provide it with our chain, which again, we can do the same thing from our chain.ts file. We need to provide it the address of the contract. So this first one, we're going to provide it with the NFT contract address, which is this address right over here. We'll do this again with our ERC20 contract. So this one's going to be called our reward token contract. And again, our client is going to be our client chain, and our address is going to be our reward token address. And then finally, we can do this for our staking contract, where again, we have our client chain and our address is going to be our staking contract address. Now within the Connect SDK, we do have extensions which are pre-built for our general contracts, general standard contracts like ERC 2721 and 1155. So we'll be able to use those extensions with our NFT contract and our reward token contract. We don't yet have any extensions for our staking contract here. So what we're going to do is provide this staking contract with the ABI of the staking contract. So in my file directory, I'm going to add a new file into utils, and I'm going to call this our staking contract ABI.ts. And we're going to export our staking contract ABI, and we're going to get that from our staking contract. And if we go to the sources tab here on the left-hand navigation, you can see all the contract code that is part of the staking contract. But all the way down at the bottom, we have our ABI here. So I'm just going to copy that whole ABI, come here, paste that in, and we're going to say as a constant. And what we'll be able to do is when we come back to our contracts.ts file, under the staking contract, we'll be able to provide it with the ABI. And in this case, we'll say the staking contract ABI here. And this will resolve all the methods within this contract and allow us to easily use it within our application here. And that does it for getting and wrapping all of our contracts to use with the Connect SDK here. Again, we got our NFT contract, our reward token contract, and our staking contract. So the next thing we can do is build out our staking application. So I'm going to come back to my files here. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this components. And in my components, I'm going to create a new file, and we're going to call this staking.tsx. And this is where we're going to create our staking application. So we're going to create our application here. And the first thing we want to do is only display this application if there is a wallet connected. So again, no one can really use our staking application if they don't have a wallet connected, because we won't be able to check the NFTs that they have that can be staked. We won't be able to check like balances of tokens and everything. So we want to make sure that a wallet is connected prior to us being able to show this application. So what I'm going to do here is actually tag this here with use client as well. And in here, I'm going to get the account connected to our application. And we can use a hook here from ThirdWeb's Connect SDK called use active account. And what use active account is going to do is return us back the account and wallet information of the account connected to our application, or return us back undefined. So if we don't have an account, that means that there is no wallet connected. So we can say here is if there is an account, then we can return our app and we'll build it out here. So let's just give it a blank div here. I will give this some styling here as well. There we go. Give it some styling. So this here is going to be our application. Now we're going to add a connect button in here. And this is just so once someone is connected with our connect embed. So let's just do this as an example actually really quick. Let me add the staking component here to our page.tsx. So add our staking component there. So if we come back to our application right here, this is our login screen, and we can connect a wallet. Once a wallet is connected with the connect embed, the connect embed just disappears. It's not going to be displayed or shown. It's hidden. So if I connect a MetaMask wallet, there you go. You can see our application. You can see our square right over here, our background for our app that we added through our styling, but there's no way for us to disconnect or switch our accounts or anything or wallets within here. So what we're going to show here first is a connect wallet button. And what it's going to show us is not another button for a user to connect, but it's going to show us the already connected component of a connect button. And what I mean by that is if I come back to staking here, let's add a connect button here. And just like the connect embed, we'll provide it our client, which will import from our client.ts file, and the chain here as well, which we will get from our chain.ts file. And if I save that and come back to my app, you can see here, this is a connected component of the connect button here. So it's going to give us the option to disconnect if we want to. So I can disconnect. It brings us back here to our connect embed. I can connect a wallet back, and there we go. Now we have a way to kind of connect and disconnect our wallet from our application. So now looking at our demo application here, let me sign in with our demo app. There's a few different sections that we're going to build here. Now the first section here is just a claim NFT section, and this is just going to have a button here that claims the ERC-721 NFT from the smart contract. So that's what we're going to build first in our application here. So coming back to our staking.ts file, under the connect button, I'm just going to create a div, and I'm going to give that div some styling here. And we'll just give it right now a title here that says claim NFT to stake. So take a quick look here. There we go, claim NFT to stake. Now we just need to create a button to execute the claim function from that smart contract. Now we have a component here with the Connect SDK, and it's called the transaction button. And we'll have the transaction button just say claim NFT. And this transaction button here takes care of a lot of the UI components for executing a transaction. But what we do need to provide it is a transaction that the button is actually going to execute. And what we wanted to do is execute the claim to function from our ERC-721 NFT contract. Now, again, the ERC-721 and ERC-20 contracts do have extensions or pre-built functions within the Connect SDK. And one of those functions is the claim to function. And we're going to import that here. So we're going to import claim to, and we're going to import that from our thirdweb/extensions/ and this is going to be an ERC-721 here. And what we need to do with this claim to is provide it some information, like one, the contract that it is going to be interacting with, which in this case is going to be our NFT contract. And then we need to provide it some information. You can see here that the claim to, we need to provide it the to address, so the address we're sending the NFT to, and then the quantity here. So coming here, we have to, and we are going to send this to the connected wallet, and we can get the connected wallet's wallet address by accessing the account variable, which we are getting right over here from using the use active account hook. And within that, we can get the address, and we can just say possibly undefined here. So account address, that's going to give us the wallet address to send to. And then we need to provide it the quantity. Now the quantity does need to be provided in a big int, so we'll just say big int, and then we'll provide it 1. And what this is telling our transaction button to do is, again, execute and call the claim to function from the NFT contract. And here are the parameters to the function here, which is who we're sending it to and the quantity that is being claimed. And then on top of this, we can say on transaction confirmed. So when the transaction is actually executed and confirmed here, we can then alert, we'll just say NFT has been claimed or NFT claimed. And that way we know once the NFT is claimed, we'll get that little alert box on our browser. Finally, I'm just going to add some styling here. Again, if you want to follow along with the styling, we have a link to the repo down in the description. I'm just adding styling here so that our application looks nice throughout this video. So save that. I'll come back here, and you can see here we have claim NFT to stake, and then we have our button here to claim an NFT. So I can click on this here, and what this is going to do is claim an NFT for us. So we should get a transaction here that pops up. We'll hit confirm. We're going to claim that NFT. There we go. You can see NFT has been claimed. So we claimed an NFT, but now we want to be able to show all the NFTs that we own and have claimed. So coming back to our demo application here, that's this section here. So we're going to show our owned NFTs. And for each NFT that we own, we want to show an image of the NFT, maybe the name of the NFT, and we want to have a button here to allow the user to stake one of those NFTs if they choose to do so. So that's the section we're going to build next. So coming back to our staking.tsx file here, I'm actually going to just add a break line here, right there. That way, if on our app we see a little break line there, and we are then going to now build out our owned NFTs. So to get our owned NFTs, we don't have a extension right now in the Connect SDK that gets the owned NFTs of a certain wallet address, but we can kind of makeshift our own using some of the extensions that are available to us. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a state variable here for our owned NFTs. So we're going to create a state variable here called owned NFTs, which is going to be an array of NFTs. We can just import that type there from ThirdWeb. And then we're going to create our function here to get our owned NFTs. So we're going to create a function here called get. We're going to call it get owned NFTs. It's going to be a async function. And what we'll do here is we're going to, one, fetch all the NFTs in our contract that have been claimed, and we're going to loop through them and see if the owner equals the wallet address that is connected to our application. If it does, it's going to add it to our array here of owned NFTs. So we're going to create an array in here first. We're going to call this one owned NFTs. This is going to be, again, an array of NFTs. We're going to start it off as an empty array here. What we'll do first is we're going to get the total supply of NFTs minted in our contract, because if we have thousands of NFTs and only 100 have been minted, we don't want to have to loop through all of them. We only want to loop through the supply that has been minted so far. So we're going to say here total NFT supply, and what we're going to do here is we're going to await, and we're going to use the total supply extension here from the Connect SDK, and this is going to get the total supply of minted NFTs. All we need to do is provide it the contract that we're checking it on, which is going to be the NFT contract. So in this case, what this should return us is 1, because we only claimed 1 NFT so far from our contract. Next, we are going to get the information of all those NFTs that have been minted so far. So we're going to say NFTs, and this is going to await the get NFTs hook from the Connect SDK. And in here, we're going to provide that with our contract, which is going to be our NFT contract. We're going to start this from the beginning, so token ID 0. And what we can then provide it here is the count. And this will only get the NFTs from token ID 0 to the number that has been minted. So since we only have 1 NFT minted, which is what total supply here should equal, it's only going to give us the NFT back for token ID 0. If we had 3 minted, it will go from token ID 0 to token ID 2, but it's not going to get all the NFTs that we have within our smart contract. So I think I minted something like 18, or lazy minted something like 18 NFTs. It's not going to get all 18 NFTs. If you did like thousands of NFTs, it's not going to get all those thousands of NFTs. It's only going to get the NFTs that we need. And then count, we do need to provide it a number here. So we're going to say parse int, and then we're going to say toString, and there you go. So that's going to give us the whatever value we get back from total supply. We're going to say, hey, you should only get NFTs up to that token ID. Then what we'll do is loop through all the NFTs that we get returned here, because we will get returned an array of NFTs. And what we're going to do is use a for loop here and just say for, and then we'll say let NFT of NFTs. And we're going to loop through this here. We'll say const owner, and then we're going to say equals and await. And what we're going to do is check for each one of those NFTs if the owner of that NFT equals the connected wallet. So we're going to await, and we're going to use another extension called owner of. Again, we'll provide it the contract of the NFT contract, and owner of, we need to check the token ID. And we can get the token ID from the NFT, right? So one of the NFTs that we're looping through, we'll get NFT.id, which will be the token ID. We'll check the owner of that, and then we'll say if owner equals the account.address, so the connected wallet, then we're going to push that NFT into our array of NFTs. And then finally, we are going to set owned NFTs to the owned NFTs. So again, we're pushing it to this owned NFTs array right over here. And then we are setting it to our owned NFTs state variable, which is an array of NFTs up here. And that is going to be our function to get the owned NFTs for that specific wallet. Now, just below that function, we're going to create a use effect here so that this function gets called. And we only want this function to be called when we have an account or a wallet connected. We only want it to check the owned NFTs if we have an actual wallet to check it against. So we'll say if there's account, run the get owned NFTs function. So we'll save that. And now let's display the owned NFTs in our application here. So coming down here, right below our line break here, we're going to create another div. This div, I'm going to give some styling as well. And in here, we're going to give it a title. We'll just say owned NFTs. Then we're going to create another div. And in that div, we're going to give it some display here and a wrap so that we can display our owned NFTs. And what we're going to then do is get our owned NFTs. And we're going to make sure that the owned NFTs.length is greater than 0. And we want to make sure it is greater than 0 because if you don't have any owned NFTs, then we're just going to display that you don't own any NFTs. So you own 0 NFTs. But if they do own some NFTs, then we're going to get our owned NFTs and we're going to map through them. So we're going to say map. And for each NFT that we map through, we're going to get back an NFT. And then we're going to display that NFT here. Now we're going to create a component here for that NFT that gets displayed because we need to create, if we look at our demo, we need to create one of these components here that display a photo and name of our NFT along with a stake button that opens up this modal for us to approve and stake the NFT. So I'm going to come back to my app first here, come back to my code editor, and we're going to create that component next. So coming here in my components, I'm going to create a new component here, and we're going to call this NFT card.tsx. And actually, before we create that card, we're going to get the staked information from our staking contract. So the only reason we're doing that is we want to be able to update that information within our NFT card as well. So we need to get that information here so that we can refetch that data and information from our NFT card when our NFT is staked. So right over here, we're going to get the stake information from our staking contract. And we're going to be using the use read contract hook, which returns us some data, which we are going to call staked info. And then we can also call refetch here and call refetch staked info. And again, this is going to be using the use read contract hook. And we're going to say the contract that we are going to be reading is the staking contract. The method that we are going to be calling is going to be the get stake info function. And the parameters that we need to provide it is the wallet address of the connected wallet. So the account.address here. So again, the only reason we are going to add this in right now is because we want to be able to call this refetch when we stake an NFT. So in our NFT card.tsx file here, I'm going to create a type here of our owned NFT props. So it's going to take our NFT, which is of type NFT, which we can import from ThirdWeb. And it's going to call our refetch here, which is actually going to be our refetched owned NFTs. So it's going to call our get owned NFT function, and it's going to also refetch the staked information when we stake an NFT. So let's create our component here. And in here, what we're going to do first is set some state variables. And why we're doing that is if we take a look back at our demo here, this little stake button is going to, one, open up a modal. So we're going to create a state variable saying whether or not that modal should be open. And then when it is open, we have two functions that we need to call in order to stake an NFT. The first function is the approve function, and then the second one is the actual staking function. So we want to make sure that we show the proper button here to know whether or not the NFT is approved and can be staked. Coming back here to our app, and our code editor. I'm going to add in 2 state variables here. Make sure we import use state. Well, again, one for is the modal open and the other one for checking if the NFT is approved. Then we're going to create our component here. So we're going to say return, and we're going to create a div here. I'm just going to give this div some styling of a margin. And then the first thing we want to display is just an image of the NFT. So we have a component here that we can use from the Connect SDK called the Media Renderer. And we can provide it with the actual IPFS hash here, and the Media Renderer will give us the image that we need to display. So for Media Renderer here, we need to provide it with the client. So the client from our client.ts file. And then we provide it with the source. And the source is going to be our NFT, right? The NFT that we get from our owned NFT props here. And then we're going to get the metadata and then the image from that metadata. And then we're going to give it some styling here, which is just going to give it some border radius and everything. And then below that media renderer, let's display its name. So we can get the name from the same thing. So nft.metadata.name. And then we can give the name some styling right over here too. So we have, again, the image and then the name of the NFT. So let's add this NFT card to our staking.tsx file. So coming down here, when we're mapping through our owned NFTs, for each one of those NFTs, we want to display an NFT card. And we need to provide this NFT card with first the key, which is going to be our NFT.id. Then we need to provide the NFT, which is going to be the NFT that we map through. And then the refresh owned NFTs is going to call the get owned NFTs, and the refresh staked info is going to call the refresh stake info here. So we save that and come back to our app. There you go. You can see we have our first NFT here, which is friend one, which is the NFT that we just claimed. So we did claim another NFT. It should show our other NFT here. And if we come here on transaction confirmed, once we claim an NFT, we want it to get the owned NFTs once again. So that should update our owned NFTs here. So let's claim one more NFT just to test this out. There you go. We have a transaction here. We'll confirm that transaction. And then once we claim that NFT claimed, we should see our second friend right here pop up. And then we have friend number 2. So now we just need to add those stake buttons that opens up the modal for us to stake the NFT. So coming back here, we're going to go back to our nftcard.tsx file, and we're going to create our staking modal. So under this title here, we're going to create a button to stake our NFT, which is going to essentially open up our modal here. And we're going to say on click, it's going to, set is modal open to true. And then we'll have some styling here for it. And then below that button, we will say if is modal is true, then we should show our modal right over here. So let's create a div for that. We're just going to be adding some styling here for that, which is just going to add a background for our modal. Within that background, we're going to create another div. This div is going to be the actual modal itself. So give that some styling. And then in that modal, we're going to create a div. And in that div, we're going to have a button that says close. So this is going to be our close button to close the modal. And what we're going to say here is on click, we set the is modal open to false. Now we'll give that div some styling here to align the button to the right corner. And then we'll give the button some styling as well. So now if we take a look at our app, each of those NFTs should have a stake button. And you can see here, it opens up a modal and we have our little close button here to close it. So now in that modal, we want to display the image of the NFT so that the user can confirm that that's the NFT they want to stake. And then we need to provide it the buttons to approve the staking and then stake the NFT. So let's come back here. And we have our close button, and below that, we're going to create a header, and then we're going to say you are about to stake, and then we'll show them the NFT. So we'll just give this some styling here with some margin. And then below that, we want to show the image of the NFT. So we'll just show the media renderer component again. We'll provide it to the client, which is our client, the source here, which is going to be the image from the NFT metadata. And then we're going to just give it some margin here. So we'll give it some styling. So we'll save that. And now when we come here and we open this up, it should show the NFT that we hit the stake button for. So now again, we just need to add the buttons to approve and stake the NFT. So what we're going to have to do first is approve the NFT to be staked, because we need to give permission to the staking contract so that the staking contract can transfer the NFT back to us when we withdraw the NFT. So what we're going to check is if the NFT is not approved, then we should approve it. And if it is approved, then we can go ahead and stake the NFT. So if it's not approved, we need to show an approval button. So we're going to show a transaction button that is going to say approve. And we're going to approve the NFT. And if it is approved, then we'll show a transaction button that says stake. So the transaction button for approving, we need this to call the approve function from the NFT contract. So again, we're going to set the transaction here for a transaction button. And what we're going to do is use the approve extension, because again, this is going to be a function that we call from our ERC 721 contract. So we're going to say approve. And for the approve here, we are going to say the contract that it is calling approval for is our NFT contract. And we need to say who we are approving this to. So we are approving this to our staking contract, but we need to provide it the address. So we're going to say staking contract, and we're going to use the .address to get the address of the contract. And then we need to provide it the token ID that we're setting approval for, which will be the NFT.id. So again, we're approving that the staking contract has the approval to transfer the NFT of the NFT ID that we provided from the NFT contract. So this is when we withdraw the NFT, it has the ability to send it back to us. We'll give this button some styling so that it has a width of 100%. And then once the transaction is done, what we are going to do is set the is approved to true. So once the transaction is done, we should set and say that it is approved. And now you can call the stake function and press the stake button here. So for our stake button, we're going to, again, create a transaction. This time, though, we are going to be using a transaction and calling a function from our staking contract. So again, the staking contract doesn't have any extensions. So we'll have to prepare a contract call, and we'll say, hey, we're going to call from the contract, which is our staking contract. The method we are going to call, and we can look here, is going to be the stake method. And the parameters for that method is an array of the token IDs that we're going to stake. So we're going to, again, provide it with NFT ID. But again, we need to provide it with the parameters are an array of the parameters that we need to provide it. And what we need to provide it is an array of the token IDs. So we need to make sure that we provide an array of the NFT.id. And then we can say on transaction confirmed. So once the transaction does go through and we have staked our NFT, we are going to alert that we have staked our NFT. We'll set the modal to open to false. So we'll close the modal out. We'll refetch the owned NFTs. So it should remove the NFT that we staked from our owned NFTs. And then we're going to refetch the staked info, and then it should now display our staked NFT in our staked NFT section. And then again, we're going to just provide this with a style here of 100%. So that is going to be our staking component for our component of our staked NFTs. So now if I hit stake here, you can see you're about to stake this NFT here. We have an approval button. We can close that modal if we want to. We can stake the other one if we choose to. But if we hit stake and we hit approve, this is going to open up a transaction here. You can see we're allowing access to transfer of your staking NFT token ID 0 here. So we need to confirm that approval there. And once it is approved, we should now be able to call the stake function. So if I hit stake, it should open up another transaction for us to confirm. We'll confirm, and that's going to be calling and executing the stake function. There you go. Stake to our staking contract. It should update our owned NFT. So we no longer own the NFT. We don't hold it in our wallet anymore. It was transferred to the staking contract. The staking contract now holds it on our behalf. And if we choose to withdraw it, we can then receive our NFT back. So right over there, that is the staking function. Now, if we look at our demo application, we should be able to view our staked NFTs and have the ability to withdraw them. Again, retrieve them back to our wallet if we want to. So we'll build that part of our application next. So coming back to our code editor, we're going to go back to the staking.tsx file, and the staked info right here that we got, again, we called a read function from our staking contract called getStakeInfo, and we provided it with our wallet address of the connected wallet. This is going to provide us back with two things. It's going to provide us back an array of the NFTs, or an array of the token IDs of NFTs that we have staked in the contract. And then it's going to also return us back the rewards that we have, or that are claimable for the wallet that is connected based on the NFTs that it has staked. So what we're going to do here is we're first going to just get the NFTs that we have staked. So below our owned NFTs here, we're going to create another div. This div is going to be for our staked NFTs. Let's just add another break right here between those two. And that div, we're going to give it a little bit of styling, some margin and everything here. And we're going to give it a title here. We'll say staked NFTs. So if we come back and look at our app here, you can see we have our staked NFTs. And now we should be able to display the one NFT that we have staked here. So in here, we're going to check and make sure that we have our staked info. And what we're going to check is that in our staked info, the first item in our staked info with index 0 is going to be the array of NFT token IDs that are staked by our wallet. So we're going to make sure that the length of that is greater than 0, because if it is 0, then that means we don't have any NFTs staked. So if it is 0, then you're going to say you have 0 NFTs staked. But if we do have some NFTs staked, we're going to map through. So actually, we're going to get our staked info, the first item in there, which is the NFTs that we have staked. We're going to map through each one of those. And for each one of those, we're going to get back a token ID, which is not going to be a string. It is actually going to be a big int. And for each one of those token IDs, we're going to then create a NFT card similar to the NFT cards that we did for the owned NFTs. But this NFT card would be the staked NFT and then the ability to withdraw the NFT. We're checking to make sure that first item that we get in our staked info is, again, an array of the token IDs that we have staked is greater than 0, because if we don't have any token IDs in there, that means we don't have any NFTs staked. And then what we're going to do is map through all those token IDs, which we are going to have big ints for each one of those token IDs. And for each one of those, we're going to display the NFT that is staked. So we're going to create another component there for that. So in my components folder, I'm going to create a new file. We're going to call this staked NFT card.tsx. And in this staked NFT card.tsx, we're going to create some type for our staked NFT card props, which is going to take our token ID. And then it's also going to take our refetch staked info and refetched own NFT functions. So we're going to create our component here. And the first thing we're going to do is we have to get the information of the NFT to show and display. Now, we're only going to get back the token ID from the staked information, but we already know what contract and everything this is going to be coming from. So we can get the information of the NFTs based off the token ID. So we're going to use the get NFT extension, which is going to return us back some data, which we'll just say is our NFT. And again, we are going to use a use read contract hook here, but we're going to provide it with our get NFT extension. And then we provide that with the contract that we're using this on, which is our NFT contract. And then we need to provide it the token ID. And the token ID that we get is going to be the token ID that we're passing here from the staked info. So import that NFT contract. So again, this should give us back the metadata of the NFT here. Just going to say here, return, and we're going to create a div. And in here, we're going to give this div just some margin here. And we're going to display an image of the NFT. So again, we can use the media renderer component We have to provide it our client, and then the source, which is going to be the NFT metadata.image. And then we can give it some styling here. Then we want to also display the NFT's name, which we'll get from the NFT metadata.name. And then we're going to provide a transaction button, and that transaction button is going to be the withdraw button. And now this button is going to do one simple thing, which is called the withdraw function from the staking contract. So our transaction here, just like we did with the stake function, we are going to prepare a contract call. We're going to set our contract here to the staking contract. We're going to set our method here to the withdraw function. And what we need to provide here is an array of the token IDs that we are going to withdraw. So again, the parameters are an array of the parameters, and we need to provide an array of the token IDs that we are withdrawing. Then we can say on a transaction confirmed, we want to alert that we had withdrawn successfully. And then we're going to refetch the staked info, because again, it shouldn't show that information of the NFT anymore within our staked NFTs. And then we want to refetch our owned NFTs, because it should pop back into our owned NFTs part of our application. And then finally, we're just going to add some styling here to make our button look nice and match our application. And that does it for our staked NFT card. So coming back to our staking application, when we map through all those staked NFTs, for each one of those NFTs, we want to provide it a staked NFT card. And again, we are going to set the key to this to our token ID. We're going to set the token ID to our token ID, the refetch staked info to the refetch staked info, which is right over here. And then the refetch owned NFTs is going to call our get owned NFTs function. So now coming back to our application, you can see right over here that we have our friend and we have our withdraw button, which we need to fix really quick. So let's come over here and let's just wrap our staked NFTs in a div here with some styling and wrapping. There we go. So now we come back to our app. There you go. We now have our one owned NFT, and then we have our one staked NFT. So what I can do is if I hit withdraw here, again, this should open up a transaction here for us to execute the withdraw function. Once I confirm that, it should update our staked info, which gets rid of the NFT. It should update our owned NFT info, which adds the NFT back into our owned NFTs. So there you go. I have 0 NFTs staked, and it pops back into my owned NFTs here. So now we can come back to our demo application here. So the final section we need to create is our reward section. So we want to show the current balance of the token that we have for our connected wallet. We want to show the stake reward, so the reward that we have that is claimable, that we're earning. And then we want to have a button to be able to claim that reward. So coming back to my code editor here, under the staked NFTs, again, we're going to just give us another break line here. We're going to create a component for our rewards. So coming back here, I'm going to create a new component here, and we're going to call this our stake rewards.tsx. And in here, we're going to create our stake rewards component. And we're just going to say stake rewards for now. But what we do need is we need to be able to get our contract address, or not contract address, our connected wallet address. So we're going to create a variable for the use active account again. And then we're going to get the current token balance of the connected wallet. So we can use the balance of extension again on our ERC20 contract, which we're going to get data back here, and we'll call that our token balance. And we'll check the is loading here state of our token balance as well to make sure that we retrieved it. We'll use the use read contract hook from ThirdWeb. And in here, we're going to call the balance of extension, but we are not from the ERC721. We want to make sure we're calling this from the ERC20 extension. And we need to provide it the contract, which is going to be our reward token contract. And then we're going to make sure that we set the address here to our connected wallet. So again, this is going to return us back the token balance of the ERC20 token that is our reward token. Then we're going to get back our staked info because remember, the staked info returns us back two things: the array of token IDs that we have staked, along with the reward balance that can be claimed. So we're going to take that same read contract here. We're going to read from our staking contract the get info function, provided our wallet address, and that's going to return us back those two things. And then we're going to create a use effect here that is going to, let me import use effect. It's just going to refetch the staked info and get us back that token balance. And we'll just say, for this case, we'll just refresh it and check it every second. That way we can see the token balance increase for the sake of this tutorial here. So over here, we'll give this div some styling here. And then we're going to say here, we're going to make sure that our token balance is not loading so that we have our token balance. And once we have our token balance, we are going to display that token balance. So we'll say here, that's going to be our wallet balance. And what we're going to display is going to be our token balance dot toString. And then we're going to, so if we come back here, or actually let's add the staking rewards to our staking.ts here. So we'll add our staking rewards, or stake rewards. Sorry, we call it stake rewards. There we go. Stake rewards there. And we come here. We can see our wallet balance is 0. Right now, we don't have any of the tokens because we haven't claimed any of it yet. So next thing we need to do is display the tokens and the rewards that we can claim. So below this balance of our wallet, we're going to say, hey, we're going to show our stake rewards. And we're going to show that once we have our staked info, we're going to get the staked info. And then the second indexed item, so index number 1, is going to be our reward that we can claim. So we're going to say toString. So if we come back here, you can see the reward is going to show a really big number because, again, this is in Wei. So let's convert this here to ethers. So we'll use the 2 ether here from ThirdWeb. So we'll wrap that in 2 ether where we import that from ThirdWeb. But we do need to provide that as a big int. So we'll say big int of that is going to be our reward balance. So there you go. You can see our reward balance shows 60. So next thing we need to do is add a button here, which allows a user to claim their reward balance, and that will be added to their wallet balance and reset the reward balance back to 0. So coming back here, let's create that button. So below our balance that or our reward balance that we're showing, we're going to create a transaction button. This button is going to say claim rewards. And what we're going to do for this transaction button is create a transaction that is going to prepare our contract call. And then we're going to call the claim rewards function from our staking contract. So we're going to say contract, staking contract here. And then the method we're going to call is the claim rewards function. And then once that transaction is successful, what we should do here is alert that our rewards have been claimed. And then we should refresh our staked info, but we should also refetch our token balance, which we can add up here. So let's add refetch and refetch token balance that we can add up here. So we're going to just add refetch token balance. So this is what we want to call as well. So what this will do is refetch the token balance to update it to the amount that we claimed, and refetch staked info should reset it back to 0. And then we'll just give some styling here to our button. So coming back to our app here, we now have this button that says claim rewards. We can claim the 60 here. So we hit claim rewards and we confirm that transaction. There you go. Rewards have been claimed. Our wallet balance here, which we should convert to ether as well. So let's come back here to our wallet balance and we'll say to ether. We'll make sure that turns to ether. And then that means that we need to make sure that this is a big int. Right over here. There we go. So now coming back to our app, there you go. We should have 60 here. And then we have our rewards, which is set back to 0 because, again, we withdrew our amount. So that is our full ERC-721 staking application here. So we'll run through it again. We should be able to claim an NFT. So let's hit claim NFT here. We'll get a transaction here for us to claim an ERC-721 token for us to be able to stake. Once that goes through, there we go, NFT has been claimed. We'll show our new NFT right over here. We'll be able to hit stake, but before we stake it, we do have to approve the staking for that token ID. So we'll hit approve. Right over here, we have the approval. We'll hit confirm. There, it's been approved. We can now stake the NFT. Once we hit stake, we get the execution or the transaction here we need to do to stake the NFT. There we go. NFT has been staked. You can see our own NFT should update, and now we have our one staked NFT. Right down here, you see that our staking rewards is now going up. So again, we have it set to every second. So right now we're getting 0.2 rewards every second. So you can see this is updating everything here. We can claim the rewards, confirm that transaction to claim the reward. That should set that back to 0, and then add that balance to our wallet balance of our connected wallet. Same thing here, we can withdraw our NFT, and then we'll add back into our own NFTs, and we'll have 0 NFTs staked. So there you have it. We built our very own ERC-721 staking application using ThirdWeb's pre-built contracts, and we built a front-end application using ThirdWeb's Connect SDK. So I hope you folks enjoyed this video and you found some value in it. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on more tutorial videos just like this one. If you need any help or support, we'll drop a link down in the description below where you can open up a support ticket, and our support team will be happy to help you out and answer any of your questions. But again, I hope you folks enjoyed this video, and until next time, see ya.